Hi, welcome to Seeker's Hour Live, and I hope you all had a really great Pentecost this last Sunday and celebrated the birthday of the church. Maybe even made a pom-pom, a red sparkly one, or maybe you just wore red, or maybe you forgot. That's okay too. We have been talking in the last few weeks about, well, we started with Joshua, and then we went, Joshua took over for Moses. Maybe we should talk about Moses. So we left off with Moses getting the message from God that he was the deliverer of all of the slaves in Egypt. So this part of the story, there's a very famous part of this story. You probably know it. It's where there's all the plagues. So there's locusts and frogs, and the water turns to blood, and there's famine and illness, and there's fire that falls from the sky and boils, and I mean, you name it, and it happens to the Egyptians. However, I want to point out one thing. Moses gives the Egyptian Pharaoh 9 chances to let the Israelites go. He goes and sees Pharaoh, and he says, "Pharaoh, let my people go." And Pharaoh says, "Your God is nothing. Got nothing on me. Go away. I'm going to do what I want." Then the plagues begin. All right? And we go through 9 plagues where it's cattle dying and bugs and sores and, people are getting hurt, people are getting sick, animals are dying, lots of terrible things are happening. But we get to the 10th plague and people die. The firstborn of Egypt dies. That's God's sentence on the Egyptians. To keep the Israelites safe, they are to paint lamb's blood over their doors while they're celebrating, and gather together. Okay, I guess is really what it is. And gathering together is what we now celebrate as Passover, which is usually right around the same time as Easter. So we've gone through these plagues. Here we have the final plague, which is the death of the firstborn of Egypt. Okay, so all that's happened. Now we're going to read our story. So our story begins today after all of this tragedy has befallen Egypt, and especially the death of the firstborn. Now the Israelites are all fine because God told them exactly what to do to be safe. So let's read this story. This is from Exodus 12:31 through 42. During the night, the king sent for Moses and Aaron and told them, "Get your people out of my country and leave us alone. Go and worship the Lord as you have asked. Take your sheep, goats, and cattle and get out. But ask your God to be kind to me." Pharaoh had 9 easier chances, and then all of a sudden, boom, he wants the God to be kind to him. I don't know. Pharaoh's kind of thick, I think, maybe. The Egyptians did everything they could to get the Israelites to leave their country fast. They said, "Please hurry and leave. If you don't, we'll all be dead." They were worried something worse was coming. It had gotten pretty bad at that point. So here we go. So the Israelites quickly made some bread dough and put it in pans, but they did not mix any yeast in the dough to make it rise. They wrapped cloth around the pans and carried them on their shoulders. The Israelites had already done what Moses had told them to do. They had gone to their Egyptian neighbors and asked for gold and silver and for clothes. The Lord had made the Egyptians friendly toward people of Israel. Oh yeah, I'm sure they were like, "We'll do anything you ask. You have cost us a great deal," at this point. And when they gave them whatever they asked for, in this way they carried away the wealth of the Egyptians when they left Egypt. Interesting. We don't usually hear that part of the story, but it's interesting. The Israelites walked from the city of Ramses to the city of Sukkoth, where there were about 600,000 of them, not counting women and children. What? Why aren't the women and children counted? Interesting. Many other people went with them as well, and there were also a lot of sheep, goats, and cattle. They left Egypt in such a hurry that they did not have time to prepare any food except for the bread that they had brought with them without yeast. So they baked it and made thin bread. I think we call this pita today. The Lord's people left Egypt exactly 430 years after they had arrived. On that night, the Lord kept watch for them, and on this same night each year, Israel will always keep watch in honor of their Lord. So that's, like I said, Exodus 12:31 through 42. So, it's a little bit different take on the story. So these guys were going on a journey. I wonder what is going to happen next. I kind of know, but this level of detail, like getting the gold and silver, and the Egyptians were like, sure, take everything we've got. Just leave us alone. I find very kind of humorous, even though it was probably horrifying at the time. I find it humorous because they had their chance to be nice, and the Pharaoh was like, nope, go away, leave me alone. You people are going to still work for me. And he made a big mistake in not listening to what God was telling him. So when the Israelites got this news that, okay, you're free now and you can go, what types of conversations do you think were going on in households around there? Do you think that they were celebrating? Do you think that they were worried? Maybe some of both. I'm kind of thinking a little bit of both, but I'm wondering what you think. So shoot me a comment down below. And why was there such a rush to do everything on that one night? Like, okay, you're free, but go. Like right now. Get your stuff, go. It's kind of made clear in the story that they are concerned that if the Egyptians are concerned that if the Israelites stay around any longer, something really horrible is going to happen. Like everybody in Egypt's going to die that's Egyptian. I think that's what they're thinking is going to happen. The kid's firstborn has died. Maybe that's just a taste of what is to come. But God's plan for the Israelites had worked. He'd sent Moses, even though Moses was hesitant. Moses did a great job. He just kept going back. Let my people go. Let my people go. And then this terrible thing would happen as a result when Pharaoh did not let the people go. And when he finally did, it was like, maybe you can ask for your God to be kind to me. Like, oh no, I'm scared. Show me some mercy. It's a very interesting story. So how easy would it have been to get used to being free after being enslaved for 430 years as people had been slaves? We're currently kind of dealing with some backlash from that in our country right now, and really around the world, but especially in the States here. And I'm wondering, we need the Israelites, let me just say this, the Israelites were probably scared. What's going to happen? I don't know. But we're free. This is good. So let's get out of Dodge and lead where God is telling us to go. The Egyptians were certainly contrite, saying, I'm so sorry. Here, take everything I have as recompense for what we did, which is really short, falls a little short, but it's what they had. They were scared. They did it. So the Israelites were leaving cash rich. but they had been persecuted and under somebody's thumb for a really long time. So it was, I'm sure, very hard for them to do this. Are there special times in your family's life that you look back to and remember? So remember how I said every year we celebrate Passover? That is when the God's spirit of death, the angel of death, passed over the houses of the Israelites with their marked doors when the firstborn of Egypt were killed as a result of Pharaoh's not listening to what God was trying to tell him to do by letting the Israelites go. So this is kind of a weird part of the story. Lots of things are happening here. We've had the plagues, we've had death, we've had the Egyptians just basically brought to their knees, saying, take whatever you want, just get out, leave. And the Israelites going and not really sure where they're going to, what's going to happen to them when they get there. And they have really not much food. Which, when we're talking about, how many people did they say? 100-something thousand people? 600,000, not including women and children. So you can double it just with the women, basically. So that's 1,000,000, what is that? 1,200,000? Is that what that is? And then we have children. So you figure, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 children per every household. That's a crazy amount of people, several million people with no food. What's going to happen next? Whew, this is a crazy story. So this unleavened bread, if you've ever had pita and hummus before, it's one of my favorite snacks. I love it. And every time you eat it, remember what happened to the Israelites. This is really what they had to eat. I'm sure their bread was, because it was cooked over a fire, it was very crispy. It wasn't soft like the kind we buy in the store. But think about that thin, crispy, unleavened bread, and think of the Israelites and breaking free from 400 and something years of slavery and finally having a chance at a life. There is so much more to come in this story. And Moses, oh, God bless Moses, he really goes through a lot with these people and has gifts to give them. But it's interesting what the people do. People are people, and it doesn't matter what stage we're living in or what time period we're living in. Let me tell you, people have been the same and react the same. So I can't wait to have you do this story with me. If you feel like you want to take this story just a little bit further, maybe you could get a suitcase and pretend like you're packing for a really long trip. Maybe that you would never, well, these people never were going to go back to where they were. So what would you pack if you were never going to be able to come back to your house? What would you put in that suitcase? What would you take with you? What's the most important things that you have in your life? Pictures? A certain piece of clothing? Maybe a little huggy-lovey thingy that you like? A stuffed toy? Or maybe a piece of jewelry? Or something that belonged to your grandmother? Hard to say. But anyway, think about it. Think what you take. And think of the Israelites. And we'll catch you on Wednesday. I hope everybody's doing well. Let's just take a moment to pray together. I think this is important right now. Loving God, we thank you for your presence in our lives. We thank you for your help in this world. We ask that you heal us as a people, that you heal the illnesses that plague us now, that you heal the brokenness that we are experiencing, and help us to love each other, help us to be kind to each other, and help us to treat others as you treat us, with love and respect and great, great care. In Jesus' name, and all God's people said, amen. See you next time.